Hello, I'm Helen Aristar-Dry. I've been a Hayes County Master Gardener for the past 5 years. I've been an avid gardener with varying degrees of mastery for most of my life, but I've also had a severe case of rheumatoid arthritis for most of my life. So I have always been interested in acquiring the kinds of tools that allow me to garden successfully but with as little strain on my joints as possible. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Tools to save your joints. That is, tools that encourage you to garden ergonomically. What is an ergonomically sound body position? Well, essentially, it's just good posture. You want to keep your torso and limbs straight, not twisted. So if you keep your arms to the side and your thumbs pointing forward, then you will keep your limbs straight, and you don't want to twist your torso. This is one of the challenges in gardening, because so many of our tasks encourage us either to slump over as we work or to twist our torso one way or the other, or to curve it over in a C shape. And both of those are just a recipe for a backache later. Whether you're standing to garden or sitting to garden, keep your back straight. You also should work with your joints at the midpoint of their range. This is the so-called neutral position that you hear a lot about in ergonomics. And I'm going to talk about it with respect to specific joints in a minute. Now, shoulder joints have quite a wide range, as you know. You can raise your arm over your head, you can extend it behind you quite a bit. But neutral position is with the shoulder joint at midpoint of its range, that is, with your arm pointing straight down your body and your elbow close into your waist. As you see on this slide, extending your arm, your shoulder joint, or flexing it so that your arm is extended, put your shoulder into an awkward position, which you aren't going to be able to hold very long, and also it decreases the amount of strength that your shoulder joint has to apply to the task at hand. We see that in this slide. If you keep your arm within a 30-degree angle to your body there, you have 100% of your potential shoulder strength to apply to the task at hand. But if you raise your hand above your shoulder, raise your arm above your shoulder, extending your shoulder joint 150 degrees, then all of a sudden you lose 40% of your strength. So you have only 60% of your shoulder strength available for the task at hand, for example, pruning. The same thing is true of your wrist joint. Neutral position for a wrist joint is with your hands straight out. In other words, it's straight from the tip of your fingers to the elbow. If you try to flex your hand backwards, you lose 20% of the potential strength of your hand. If you try to flex it downward, that is, touch the inside of your wrist, then you lose 55% of your hand strength. And the same thing is true of radial and ulnar deviation. Radial deviation is when you try to tilt your hand up. I have a hard time doing this with my arthritis. But whenever you keep your hand in this position, you lose 20% of your hand strength. If you do an ulnar deviation like this, try to point your hand downward, there again, you lose 25% of your hand strength. And this is unfortunate because so many of the mainstream gardening tools that you find in stores try to encourage you to keep your hand in a position like this, an ulnar deviant position. So now let me tell you about some of the tools that I have found helpful in my garden. In terms of lightening your load, one thing I like to do too is to plant in lighter containers wherever possible. This is a grow bag. They have these in all sizes. They have 30-gallon grow bags. They have huge grow bags if you want them, but these are 10-gallon potato bags, but you can grow any root vegetable in them. And they are nice for root vegetables because these have a little opening at the bottom so that you can check on the root of whatever you're growing without uprooting the whole plant. And the nice thing about gardening in a lighter container like this is that you can move it. You can put it on a table, for example, so that you can garden standing up. And that's always a useful thing to do to save your back. Another thing that you might want to consider to save your back is a little seat like this. Now you can turn it upside down and it will be a kneeler. My knees won't take my kneeling, but I use it all the time in my vegetable garden because it allows me to sit down, but if I have to work near the ground, I can bend over and keep my back straight, which we should know by now is one of the main things that you should try to do if you're trying to save your joints. So this little stool has a very small footprint, so you can put it in between vegetable rows quite easily. And it also has these pockets for hand tools. And one thing you want to do is to store your tools close to your garden or close to your work area so you can save steps, because that also saves your joints. I'd like to show you this tool. It's one of my favorites for two reasons, each of which I'll talk about: the O-shaped handle and the long tooth. This is a line of tools called Radius, R-I-D-U-S. I get them on Amazon. You can also get them at Natural Gardener and probably a lot of other places. The O-shaped handle won a design award. First off, it's large in circumference. It's the right shape for arthritic hands. And the way you tell the right shape is you make a circle between your thumb and your index finger. And a tool that fits right in that circle, like this does, has the correct circumference for your hands. Another thing about this O-shaped handle is that it has a much larger amount of surface area. It's very easy to get two hands on the handle of the tool, whereas it's really hard to do that on your normal traditional D-shaped handle. So the handle is one good thing about the tool. The other thing that I love is the extra long tooth. This, in conjunction with the long handle, gives you a great deal more power than you would ordinarily have, because you get the leverage out of the extended length. And there are a number of tools like this. You can get a rake and so on. Speaking of long-handled tools, another thing that I have found surprisingly useful, I didn't realize how useful it was going to be when I bought it, but this is a long-handled water wand. So obviously the hose goes in there, and the nozzle is adjustable so that as a result you can stand and hold it in an ergonomically sound position with your elbows close to your sides and your arms straight down, neutral position for your shoulder joints. But you can water quite a ways. You can reach a pot plant that's over, you can water, you can turn it up like this and water several rows at once without having to extend your arm in an uncomfortable position like that. And I love my long handle pruners for exactly the same reason. You can keep your arms close to your sides, straight down in a neutral position, but I use this for everything. I prune 2-inch plants with these long handle shears because You can reach quite a range of plants with these long handles without moving your arms or extending them out in a difficult position to maintain like that. I wanted to show you this hand tool, and there's a whole line of them. This happens to be a transplanter. Note that it has the long tooth, which gives you more leverage. But what I particularly wanted to show you was this curved handle. Not only is it the right circumference, but it forces you to keep your hand in a pistol grip. Any tool that puts your hand in a pistol grip is one that encourages an ergonomically sound position, because your arm is straight from your elbow to your fist. And I really like these tools with the handle shaped like this. Here is another tool that I would be loath to do without, but most people that I show it to don't even know what it is. It's a great little faucet turner. It costs $6, and it will handle any faucet, wagon wheel shaped faucets, faucets that just have one arm like that. The little protrusions here push in so that it can grip a faucet of any configuration. And I love it because it gives you more leverage on a hard to turn faucet handle. Okay, here's an oddly shaped faucet. Just push it in, turn it like that, it's on. Do it again, turn it off. It's easy. It'll also work on these, practically any faucet handle that you have. I brought these gloves. I use gloves all the time, but I use regular arthritis compression gloves. A lot of people don't realize how much help painful hands can get from compression gloves. So for about $15, you can buy compression gloves, arthritis compression gloves, on the web. I splurged and bought these leather compression gardening gloves. They're very attractive, look very well made, but they're hard to get on. So I don't necessarily recommend these because they were expensive. But you can find all kinds of gardening gloves. And if you have arthritis in your hands like I do, what you want is compression. It really helps. I'm sure there are lots more tools that those of you who have gardening with arthritis like me know about. I would love to hear about everyone's favorite tools, but I hope that you've enjoyed seeing mine, and I hope that they help you garden with a little less pain and stress on your joints.